Hi, I'm QuiteWrite, and today I'm going to be having a book review. The book I'm reviewing is called The Hero of Ages by Brandon Sanderson. This book is the third in the trilogy, so the last book. There is a book after this. The fourth book that in the series is called The Alloy of Law, which is more like a sequel to the trilogy, which is Mistborn, The Well of Ascension, and then The Hero of Ages, this one. They're all about 700 plus pages long, and they're sci-fi fantasy. Before I talk specifically about this book, just a backstory of how I read the trilogy. I read this trilogy over a year span. I went back at Goodreads to see it. They always vary from 4 to 5 stars. And this book I gave 5 stars to on Goodreads with very good reasons, which I'll go in detail to in a second. Something if you keep coming back to try to finish a trilogy over a long period of time, such I read this, and when you know that all the books have come out. I didn't buy these books together. I bought them all separately. In fact, I remembered that, all right, I read the first book. Why am I going to read the second book? And so I bought the second book 4 or 5 months later. Then it's on my shelf for about a month or two, and then I read it. And then 4 or 5 months later, I bought the third book, Hero of Ages. A couple of months later, after I bought it, I read it. So a very slow but sure diligence, I guess, with this series. Like I was saying, this is a sci-fi fantasy novel. It is set in a world where they have elementers, which are people who can build magic based off of the kinds of metal they ingest, such as they ingest bronze. They develop the ability to feel out any other elementals in the area, and they can tell what metal they're burning, what they're doing. Give you different powers, like or steel. You can push and pull off things. You can, using metals, you can soothe people's emotions or riot them, depending on what your intention is. And then there's the special cases where there are people called Mistborns, which is also the title of the first novel, where you have the ability to burn all the metals. I love the characterization and the character building Brandon Sanderson has done with this series. The setting is interesting. They have constant ash mounts that are always burning ash. They have mists that come at night, and then they dissipate during the daytime. But most of the people don't go out at night because of that. And those people are called ska. It's the 1% of the population is the wealthy class, and everyone else is either ska or they're merchant. So it's noblemen, merchant, and then ska. Ska are basically the slaves. The merchants are like the in-between. Then you have the noblemen who throw the fancy parties, have all the wealth, have all the money, kind of thing. That's the system that the ruler of the land, the immortal guy, he's called the Lord Ruler, created. And there's a whole backstory and a prophecy going on about the Hero of Ages, which, all comes together in the book called The Hero of Ages. So all of the books are very appropriately titled. There is romance. Forewarning, if the camera angle is different, it's because my phone fell. It didn't break or anything, but it might be different. The main romance is Elin and Vin, and they meet in the first book, and you kind of just see their, at least a bunch of different things in their life, but you do see the development of the romance, or the undevelopment, because it's pretty obvious they're together in some capacity. They might hate each other. You don't know. Well, I know. People who read the book know, but I'm not going to tell you that, because I feel like that's even the important part of the plot. The ending. This book had so many what just happened moments. You're just like, oh, well, that definitely makes sense. And maybe if I was distracted by 50 other million small plot points that you've been throwing at me, I might have seen it coming a bit more. But I was relatively surprised. Everything just came together so well. I think that's my biggest praise to Brandon Sanderson is how well he's with fitting things together, making them work, making them feel very plausible. The way things fit together, it just creates this beautiful collage of who knows what, but you know it works. I would recommend this to anyone who is interested in trying out sci-fi or fantasy for the first time, who's interested in world building that has magic. Oh, by the way, excellent, fantastic world builder. Like the highest it goes, anything sexual is kissing. It's more like they kissed and that's it, and kind of moves on with the story. So if you're looking for a book that's not high sexual content, the whole series is like that. The moral and ethical dilemmas in this book and how they're discussed and how characters think them through, the fact that they're brought up, I admired and really enjoyed, and it made me start thinking about things and how they relate to the real world. People I would not recommend this to would be people who have a tendency to not be able to finish lengthier books. I would say this is long, but it's not impossible. Another point I forgot to make. This book is written third person omnipresent, so it does jump point of views between characters. If you do have an issue with that, or quickly getting disengaged from, or you're not very good at getting back into a different character's point of view because you're so tied in to invest in another one, it might annoy you. For the most part, it didn't, because I generally was interested in what all the other characters were doing. It might take me a page or two to get back into what that character was doing, but once I was hooked. I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars, and with those little hints in mind, I hope it's helped you get a better idea of what this book is about. So thank you for watching, and I hope wherever you are in the world, you have an amazing week. Bye.